7. On the game cam, it tells the temperature also. So whatever it was got right up against the camera, and it took 30 photos of it. And I have them in. They look like the back of a Sasquatch bending over. You can kind of see the shoulders, but you can really see the hair and the skin and everything. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I have those on my card.
Now, we got to go for break. We'll be back in about 8 minutes. So if you guys want to get a cup of Java, whatever, we'll be back. So don't hang up.
All right.
We don't learn from history where empires go to die. They say it's terrorism, that's political malarkey. Just follow where the money goes to a corporate oligarchy. The food crops they once grew with a plow and a hoe been turned into opium poppies, growing row on row. Our infrastructure's crumbling, our social structure too. It's a corporate scam, they don't give a damn while screwing over me and you. Outrage, I don't hear no public cry about sending young men and women where empires go to die. We lost people and treasure in Vietnam, and there still ain't no upside. We're doing the same in a no-win game where empires go to die. It's a new world order agenda with a demonic rising tide. They want America's soul in a deep dark hole where empires go to die.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com. Night Dreams Talk Radio Network brings you the World Paranormal News with James Creechbaum. Now, the latest news.
News. Archaeologists discovered mysterious 4,000-year-old carved stones. Now, these stones that they have discovered around the ancient hearth of the mainland of Orkney, an archipelago off the coast of Scotland. The stones likely date back 4,000 years and resemble human figures with large bodies, distinct necks, and heads. Also, Uri Geller claims he swayed UK election result. Now, the Uri Geller was famous for bending spoons and other things, but he was very controversial, and he was often been proven wrong and been questionable, but he goes on to say he swayed the UK election result. Table that held the Ark of the Covenant, some believe could have been found. A stone table was found within an ancient temple unearthed approximately 20 kilometers west of Jerusalem, and many archaeologists think it could be the table from the Ark of the Covenant. Ancient tombs lined with gold discovered in Greece. Archaeologists found 2 ancient tombs lined with gold close to the Mycenaean era palace of Pylos in the southern Peloponnese region of Greece. The 3,500-year-old tombs contain carved jewelry as well as human remains. New Jersey. There is a swamp monster, apparently, and it's making some rounds. Now, here's a report. This thing comes out of the swamp and goes to the middle of the street, turns to us, and makes a weird blood-curdling scream, growl, hissing, a sound I wish I had on tape because I cannot duplicate it. After it makes this noise, it runs across the street into other swamp and woods. Well, my friend and I almost, our pants, where we stood and U-turned our bikes and hightailed the heck out of there. We took a few minutes to regroup our thoughts and analyze what just happened. After a few minutes, we agreed that we both saw the same exact thing, but had no idea what just happened. After regaining our courage, we bolted back down the road into my house. Also, M16 building blueprints lost in a major blunder. Plans detailing the layout of the security of the building recently vanished into thin air during renovations work. Next news break at the top of the hour.
You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark with our host, Gary Anderson.
And we are back with, James. We just lost one of the guests, and we're going to try getting him back. His line went dead, and let's see if it's back functioning. So we'll give that a try.
Hello.
Yeah, well, we got you back.
Okay, great.
Okay. So let's continue on, Darrel, with what you were saying before we had to go on break.
Sure.
Okay.
Darrel, are you there?
Yeah, go ahead, Toby. Tell me.
Oh, sure. So we got done playing these wood knock sounds here, and maybe we'll continue down this sound road, because there's so many sounds that were interesting just besides hits, taps, and knocks. I mean, one of the theories was that maybe this metal shop that Darrel had built was expanding and contracting in the heat. It made sense. I mean, it was a newer shop. All metal shops seem to do that, but these were really hard, huge slaps on or near the shop. So we started to leave the recorder around the shop, sometimes in the shop. Early on, we didn't really know where to put the recorder. We were trying to find a sweet spot. So these hit sounds got bigger. And so if you play clip 3, this will be a montage of really loud hits on or near Darrel's house in this metal shop where the knees were. So let's play clip 3. Right. So now, if that was a bird loose in there, it was the size of an ostrich.
It would have had.
And that was our question. Can these be explainable? Well, the sounds defied explanation, because when you would leave certain areas, these things would happen. And they never happened right in front of your face. There was a couple of times where that wasn't specifically true, but for the most part, it was kind of predictable that way, that if you left, things seemed to happen. And so we were always able to really walk away with, we got pretty savvy thanks to Dave Ellis, downloading sounds on spectrogram and, diagnosing these sounds visually on our laptops so we didn't have to listen to it. I was working 50 hours a week. Darrel had a slower computer, and so we needed, to upload these in a hurry and download what was interesting, isolate it, and save it. And so we got good at that. And so what you heard was a montage of super big, and you can't really appreciate it over the radio, but those are some pretty big sounds when you listen to them on the right speaker unit. But then these other things started to happen there. Darrel said, I've got these weird handprints, and one of them is inside the house in a guest bedroom. And then another set of handprints just showed up on my new shop on the door jamb at the upper right corner in particular. And so I came over. I think at that point I was living at his house, and I came over to the side of the house and saw these giant, oversized, greasy handprints all over the door jamb of his brand new shop. And he says, well, if you think those are something, come look at this weird stuff. And we go over towards the inside the house to the guest bedroom. And inside one of the guest bedrooms, a little tiny set of white chalky handprints that look like four-fingered handprints off of like we kind of called them Chucky's handprints because they were so creepy. But they were pressed up against the door near the doorknob, but flush and flat, like something was pushing its way or holding onto the door. And they were really interesting handprints. I'm looking at them right now. In fact, I'm looking at both sets of these handprints. We made up our own forensic kit of, dusting prints with construction chalk and packing tape. And so we were able to take both sets of prints there and isolate them and put them on a piece of cardboard and save them. Now, what's interesting about both of those handprints is that they weren't there before. And it didn't make a lot of sense that anyone was hoaxing inside of Darrel's guest bedroom, right, downstairs from him. So that's when I was like, okay, these extended experiencers talk about strange light. They talk about UFOs. They talk about ghosts. They talk about all of these things coalescing in these Bigfoot hotspots. Well, I don't know if this would necessarily be a Bigfoot hotspot. Maybe it's a paranormal hotspot. It's very reminiscent of Skinwalker Ranch, the kind of things that these extended experiencers talk about. And that's when we started to call this place, the Owl Moon Lab, based upon the fact that it was the set of knees we found was on a full moon, which is also called the Owl Moon. And we started to do these experiments, little lab experiments of sorts. And I was creating, a Sasquatch structure inside the garage. So I was kind of like the Frankenstein in my laboratory when Darrel would get home and see me up to, my knees with, molding clay and latex, creating this Bigfoot for Ron Moorhead. But it also had a lot of similarities to Skinwalker Ranch. So, it's kind of like we came up with this term. It was a skin twin, a twin of Skinwalker Ranch, because it had these interesting attributes all around the area. There was one time Darrel and I stepped out of the garage, and we're standing over in front of my trailer, and it's slightly raining on a cloudless day. It's about 85 degrees out. There's not a cloud in the sky. And if you stood in this 12 to 14-inch area, you'd feel it rain. And I called Darrel over. I was like, dude, I think it's kind of like raining at your property right now. Like there's this light mist. And do you remember that, Darrel?
Yeah, it was real weird.
Now, I got to ask you guys a question, both of you, okay? I would be terrified to find handprints inside my house, especially because, I'm married and I have children. But, even without the children, I would be really concerned because I would not know what their motives are coming into the house. Did you have a loaded gun just in case, Darrel?
Oh, I have an arsenal. Yeah. Yeah, I have weapons.
Okay, I was just curious. I just was curious if you were concerned for your wife and your protection, because I would be really at an uncomfort level if something was in my house and left handprints. Even bad enough if it was my, workshop or anything else. But if it came into the house itself, I would not be a happy camper.
Yeah, we also found a big rock laying in the middle of the living room one day when we came home from church on a Sunday, just out of the blue. And, doors are all locked.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a real big house, 5 bedrooms, and the little room downstairs, one of the guest bedrooms, we called it the Chucky room after we found these crazy handprints. And it just stayed, the door was always closed. So we didn't, and nothing was really after us upstairs, so we didn't pay that much attention to it.
I mean, there was a ghost connection going on, too, because Darrel and Cindy had lived at a house that was haunted. They kind of dealt with the supernatural